at the end of the day, we need to remember that AI is a tool, okay? If you let AI lead you, it will lead you. But if you control AI, it is a good tool to use.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to this podcast on how to use AI to transform healthcare operations. So, first, I want to introduce Tsvi Gal. And actually, Tsvi, it would be really just so great if you give a little bit of a background, in your career journey. And also, everyone, I am Nick Lippis. I'm one of the co-founders over at ONUG. So, Svi, why don't you say hi and let's talk a little bit about your background.
Sure. So my name is Tsvi Gal. If you cannot pronounce it, you're not going to be the first, not the last. It's an Israeli name. So I've been in technology for over 30 years, and currently I'm the CTO of MSK, Memorial Sloan Kettering. Prior to this, I was CTO at Morgan Stanley, Deutsche Bank, Merrill Lynch, some of the mostly in financial services, with a small detour into entertainment when I was CIO for Time Warner Music, and also president of ATT.com, and then did what my wife fondly calls B2B, back to banking, and before I went to MSK. So
Yeah, it's a really just such an impressive, background. And for those who are in the financial services industry in the tri-state area, like Svi is a legend. Everyone kind of knows Svi. So I want to provide a little bit of background on what we're about to talk to, Svi, okay? And then we'll kind of dive right in. So give me a second, folks. I am going to do a little bit of reading. I know it could be a little boring, but AI is reshaping healthcare from groundbreaking cancer research to everyday clinical operations. You just met Svi. He is the CTO and head of enterprise technology services at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, the premier cancer center on the planet. He is going to share how one of the world's leading institutions is applying AI in practice. You'll hear how AI is driving breakthroughs in cancer research, streamlining clinical workflows, and reshaping patient care. Svi will also outline how healthcare organizations are updating infrastructure, data strategies, and collaboration models to support these advances. So whether you're leading in technology or research or operations, you'll leave with some really great practical insight on what to prioritize today and to prepare your organization for the next stage of AI adoption. So now that's the framing, of the discussion that we're going to have. I got to tell everybody though, is that Svi delivered the keynote for the AI Networking Summit, which was produced by ONUG at last fall in Manhattan. And it was late October. We have another one coming up, which is October 22nd and 23rd in Manhattan as well. But Svi's keynote was so off the charts, standing ovation. I've never seen that before in a tech conference. It was it was amazing, and we gave Svi this, award on contributions to humanity. And the response from the community was just heartfelt. I got chills, as we were kind of doing that. So I'm just so happy to have Svi here so we can kind of continue that conversation that we started about a year ago. So Svi, welcome and thank you.
my pleasure.
Okay. Okay, so I do have some questions, prepared, because when you have somebody like Svi on the line, you want to make sure that you kind of take advantage of that time in a really structured way. So, but I know we're gonna veer off, but like we're gonna try to stay on them. So, real world impacts and tactical wins. That's where we're gonna start the conversation. So Svi, first question, how have AI initiatives transformed clinical workflows in your organization, and what practical lessons could you share right now?
So AI is not new to MSK, and we have used it for many, many years. Now, of course, not Gen AI or agentic AI that didn't exist at the time, But for many years, we used AI as in deep learning, machine learning, neural networks, all of the above, especially in the research environment, where we are trying to basically identify and understand the genomics of the human being, and then also understand the cancer, what causes it, how does it multiply, what is, what make a cell splice in the wrong way, and one is the hopes that if we understand it enough, then we can not only identify treatment and medicine to this, but potentially even prevent it from happening, which is really the ultimate goal. By and large, you can say that MSK's ultimate goal is to be out of business, which
Mm,
means that there is no cancer anymore.
mm,
Nothing to worry about in the next few years, unfortunately, but this is
mm,
definitely what this is all about. So the way we use AI, we use it in across the hospital, what we call MH or Memorial Hospital, which is the hospital itself. We use it in the front office, basically everything that touches individuals, patients, staff, and everything as such. In the middle office, basically where we do that, the doctors work and the pharmacists and so on and so forth. The back office where all the administration is being done, and as I mentioned before, in research. So
mm.
this is done across the board. I will just touch on one little thing now, and then I'll go into some others later on in the conversation. But in the front office, when we have about 4.5 years ago, we decided to outsource our level one support. But rather than outsourcing it to an outsourcing company, we actually outsourced it to AI. So
Mm.
we established a conversational AI as the front office to the help desk. And in the beginning, of course, we uh, created several use cases, and then we told people that if you don't want to talk to AI, all you need to do is say human, and we'll talk to a human being.
Mm.
And where we came from was that the idea is that people should feel comfortable with the interaction and not being forced to do that. And indeed, for the first few weeks, about 80% of the people said human, just went right to human. I don't want to talk to
Yeah.
AI. Sorry about that. And then they noticed that their friends are not waiting so long and started to use it as well. To make a long story short, the wait time, average wait time before we started was about 42 minutes, with
Hmm.
the average abandon rate was about 27.5%. Today, the wait time is less than 1 minute, and we have virtually no abandon rate.
Wow.
And what we achieved also is a very high containment rate, containment being basically the percentage of times that you are staying within the AI, you don't need to talk to a human. And we, of course, evolved the original conversational AI to add some LLM capabilities and eventually going to agentic as well, as we move from basically understanding and reacting to really generating and providing ideas all the way to actually doing tasks and fixing, which is the agentic part of it. So
Okay.
this is basically a real life example of usage of AI in the front end. Uh, I will pause now because later on I'm going to talk about also the middle office and research with some real examples.
Okay, awesome. So on the front office, I'm kind of assuming probably there's like a couple of different use cases. One, you actually walk into, Memorial Sloan, and you can, then interact, with kind of an AI, agent, right? Or you're calling,
Yeah,
and so like instead of having a voicemail tree that you have to go through,
yeah,
you're actually now interacting, with an LLM. And
that's
that's
the direction.
right.
Yes.
Yeah. And yeah, so those numbers are amazing. 47 minutes down to like 1 minute, and what was I forget the term that you use that where people were staying in the AI before they started kind of like,
It's
doing
yeah,
a
it's
tag
containment.
containment.
Yes, uh, yes, that's the term, which is how long do you stay within the AI? You don't need to talk to a human being. And by the way, this thing is something that is gradual because as the AI learns more and more and achieves and adopts more use cases, So is the percentage of being able to what we call solving first call goes up. The
Yeah,
goal is to really make the life of the customer being a patient or staff or whatever, as easy as possible. Because one of the most annoying experiences we all have is when you call a call center, you talk to someone, they ask you for all the details and everything, and say, "Let me move you to level two," and level two ask you all the same questions again.
same questions.
I said,
Yeah,
"No, I already gave you all the answers. Stop asking
yeah,
me."
yeah,
So you don't
yeah,
need to do that. That's one of the
yeah,
things.
yeah. You can
And I
deal with
think,
that maybe
yeah,
twice, but like when you're handed off for a third time, it's like, oh my God.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
Which, by the way, causes the abandon rate to go up because you just eventually say, "Okay, forget it.
yeah,
I'm done." So I
yeah,
think that the key is to basically enable people to be able to self-service as much as possible and talk and basically be able to get the best service that they can. And this is just the tip of the iceberg. There are a lot of other
yeah,
examples of where AI actually makes a real difference. I will mention one more before we move on to the next question. Uh,
yeah,
for example, there is when a doctor talks to a patient, normally, after that, they need to summarize the meeting and suggest the diagnostics and whatever is needed.
yeah.
Today, with a technology known as ambient, basically the ambient AI can actually record the conversation, then summarize the meeting and the discussion and highlight the main points, as well as what is the diagnostics, what is the treatment that is suggested, and so on and so forth. That's what AI does. Now, the next generation is now taking this data, so okay, let's compare this case to all the cases that we have before, and come back to the doctor and say, by the way, we had X amount of cases like this. This percentage used this treatment, this percentage that treatment, etc. And by the way, this was the measurements of success as well as side effects and all. At the end of the day, the doctor is the only one that makes the decision as to which treatment to do and use.
Hmm.
But no doctor in the world has the knowledge of all cases possible. So
Yeah,
what this is basically allows the doctor to survey and say, okay, those are the things that have been done before. The doctor can decide to take one of them or do their own. It's totally their decision, but it really helps them make those type of calls. And so that's just yet another example of the power of AI.
yeah, and that's also huge for the patient too. It's like it's like obviously I visited doctors, and it's like there's always somebody now. There's usually somebody else with like, a computer like on the stand with the wheels, and they're kind of typing away while, the doctor is interacting with you and trying to capture everything. So having an AI there that's actually being able to record it and be able to summarize it not only helps, I think, the doctor, but also the patient too, because a lot of that will get put onto a portal, right? And so you log in and you get to see, what was the result of that meeting. Because like when you're in the meeting with a doc, a lot of, and it depends on what you're going over. If it's something kind of serious, you're not hearing everything.
Sure.
Sometimes it depends on, especially at a cancer center, you can imagine there's a lot of shock, once you're hearing some particular diagnostics, so actually that's really extremely helpful and, in having that recorded. So, you can go back and say, okay, well, what did they say about this? And what did they say about that? So
Well,
that's,
it's even more than that. Regardless of cancer or not, how many times have you gone to the doctor and with knowing exactly what you want to say, and then when you're there and talking to them, you forgot half of that.
yeah,
Then you go on the way out, say, "Oh, gee, if I only could say this," and because I forgot. Today, basically, you get basically the script of the meeting, and if you forgot something, you can actually electronically go and say, "Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention this and this," and it will be added to the conversation. You don't need to wait for the next time that you're going to see the doctor.
awesome. Yeah. Okay. Those are two
Those are
great,
just a few examples. Yes.
yeah, great use cases. So we have front end, we have kind of middle, and we're going to have back office, but also there's the research. So can you share a little bit of like, some of the real world examples of like AI accelerating research,
So
within some
yes,
of your teams?
no, no, absolutely. So uh, to begin with, AI is very prominent in our research community. Uh, we have two types of research. We have basic research that is done by mostly by Sloan Kettering Institute, and then we have translational research that is done mostly in the hospital side. But in both cases, AI is very much a real player. And it plays again in different areas, depend on the research itself. It could be in anomaly detection, it could be in unsupervised idea of drug development, it could be in identifying the right match between a trial and the participants in the trial to see if there is a real match. And there is, of course, the research itself to look at the development and evolution of different types of cancers and how they splice, and AI is used to in all of them to basically guide and so on. One of the most important cases, of course, is in the drug development and in the testing. And that's where we basically are trying to use a mechanism where we can reduce the number of permutations and possibilities to a management number, and AI helps doing it by basically following the criteria, understanding more about the disease as it goes and learns more. It could basically say those type of treatments will not work for this one, try those and those.
Mm.
And in some cases, it doesn't just summarize existing treatments, but could come with a novel idea, which that's what the generation part of AI comes in and say, based on what we learned from this, this, and this, could you try something like that? Now, again, we need to remember that AI will not do the treatment. There will be always a doctor to make those calls and decisions, but AI can suggest some new ideas of how to look at from that perspective.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. I know, like, actually, I'm kind of going back into my memory from the talk that you gave last year, but you were talking about kind of the acceleration of research, from like 15 years down to like 5 years,
Absolutely.
for certain cancers. And I think that had to do with being able to kind of tap into the genome, and being able to model a, you know,
Yes, you're talking
kind
about
of
a
a,
digital twin, basically,
there we go.
and
Yeah,
yes, which is
yeah.
basically the idea of creating a simulation of a mouse at the time, and then humans, etc., and then infect the simulation with a certain disease, and then you do your test on the simulation, and this reduces basically, as I said, the number of permutation to a much smaller number, which, by the way, speeds up research. Depends on which area, by about up to 10 years, and it is enabling us to focus on the current generation of medicine, which focuses mostly on as much as we can on immunotherapy or what's known
Mm,
biological agent for several reasons. One of which is uh, this treatment is basically personalized because it's done based on the person's
yeah.
own DNA, and as we do the genomic understanding of that, so the chances of success are much higher. And then if we can do with a biological agent, and two major areas are less of concern. One of them is the rejection, because the body rejects, what it perceived to be poison. And when you
Mm,
come to think about it, chemotherapy is poison.
is poison. Yeah. Mm,
It does bad things to the body.
yeah.
So the body automatically would want to reject it. It doesn't want it.
Yeah.
But we know it also does good because it kills the bad cells. In the biological agents, you don't have this issue. It's
Mm,
from that perspective. And of course, the side effects of are much lesser than chemotherapy or radiation. So those are some of the directions. So today we identified 200 about types of cancer, about 400 really, but 200 main ones. And several dozens of them now already use immunotherapy as the main, if not the only, way to treat cancer, which of course creates
wow.
a much better quality of life, not just longevity of life, to the patients, and that's why
Yeah.
it is critical to continue in this direction.
So on the immunotherapies, so what would be kind of a typical kind of treatment? Normally in cancers, right, it's either radiation operation to cut it out, or it's chemotherapy. Chemotherapy.
Yes,
So we
and sometimes it's a combination of them. Yes,
right, yeah, absolutely
correct.
right. So in immunotherapy, what are the
But,
tools that they
but
normally use?
well, it basically you either get a pill or you get an injection, but ideally you get a pill and you take it several times a day, and that's all you do. And that's really the idea. See, the dream of cancer treatment is, of course, the ultimate dream is for it to disappear. But until then, there are two things that we are trying to achieve. The first one is to convert cancer to be basically a chronic disease rather than acute
Yeah,
attack. So by this, it means that it's something that you can live your entire life with. You
yeah,
just have it, and you need to take care of it and control it, but you can live.
yeah.
That's the one of the dreams to achieve from that perspective.
So that
Uh, yeah,
so almost like heart disease, right? So it's a
yeah,
chronic
or
disease and
diabetics or
yeah,
whatever else.
diabetes. Yeah.
So it's something
Okay.
that again might not necessarily be fun to have. Nobody
Yeah.
claims that being diabetic is a walk in the park, but with the right treatment and control, etc., you can live a long life with this. The idea is that we are trying to get cancer to that point. So that's one of the dreams. The
Yeah.
other dream, which is being worked with us, but also in other, institutions like Cleveland and some others, is the idea of creating a vaccine
Yeah.
for cancer. Now it's a breakthrough in many areas because in some of the work that is being done, the goal is to create a vaccine to treat the cancer itself. But since it's based on mRNA, etc., the goal is to make the body initially uh, learn to identify cancer
Mm,
cells early when they're microcells and attack them at that point, so the
mm.
cancer will not grow or spread, and then it becomes a vaccine. So that's part one. Part two will be just a preventive vaccine. In other words, when we know, for example, uh, people that have the BRCA, bacteria. And today, what you need to do normally is to go for an operation to remove your breast and so on. The idea is to create a vaccine that basically will control the BRCA and will not allow it to develop, so you can actually don't have to go through this. Now, again,
Um,
a lot of it is future world, but that's kind
mhm.
of actual research that is being done is on that. And depending on the type, and we are talking about results that will be coming in, within our lifetime. In other words, in years, not dozens of years and not decades. So
That's
there's
yeah.
a lot of work that is being done today for that perspective.
That's amazing. It's like I'm 66, so it seems like okay, there's a chance. It's like I might live, where, there might be a, kind of a breakthrough here, really. And that's one of the kind of the hopeful attributes of AI, in healthcare. So I love this whole conversation, especially around kind of research. But I want to try to get to the kind of organizational strategy and kind of the infrastructure stuff, so like others can learn a little bit about kind of
Oh,
how you all built your infrastructure and how you organized around it, especially with skill sets being relatively scarce. So let me see. So I'm kind of like at what organizational infrastructure changes, yeah, were really critical, for you guys to fully leverage AI and its potential. So do you remember, like, was there a certain way that you had to reorganize? And obviously the technology, I would think GPU clusters would be
oh,
one of them, but
yes.
I'll let you.
So no, you're right. So let's separate between the technology itself, the hardware, the software, the models, etc., and the talent.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of discussion about new roles, new jobs, etc., that AI could create, as well as jobs that will disappear, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we need to remember that AI is a tool. Okay, if you let AI lead you, it will lead you. But if you control AI, it is a good tool to use. And for this, I mean that for people to be successful in the future, they're going to have to create both, to have both AI fluency, but still very strong domain knowledge of the
Mm.
business and the environment or technologies that they are controlling. One cannot replace the other. And so that's something to keep in mind. So, of course, there will be some new skills like prompt engineering and some other stuff and so on. But in the reality, it's the usage of AI for that. Very few people, like always, will be involved in the mathematics and the science behind AI.
Hmm.
Now, of course, if you look at LinkedIn, you think that there are 5 million data scientists out there, so nothing to worry about. But the reality is a lot of people just call themselves that way because it's
Mm.
what sells.
Yeah.
But they're not really scientists. To be a data scientist, you need to be first a statistician.
Yeah.
What we studied in school, which is Bayesian statistics and k-means and all of those type of things, that's what this is all about. That's the basic, uh, you know,
Yeah.
stone
Skill set.
of AI to begin with. But normally, most of the people that will use AI and even program with AI, they don't need to be real deep scientists in that perspective. They need to really understand the usage and the models to create. So that from that perspective. So there is a real shortage today of talent in AI. Of course, if you look at the LinkedIn again, everybody knows AI and we have nothing to worry about, but we
Yeah.
don't. So there's definitely a lot of opportunities there to grow from talent perspective. But what I would advise to companies is to really train their own people with AI and the tools rather than get pure AI people. Because let's say you're the world best AI engineer, if you don't understand the business itself, you'll be of little use,
Good
really.
point.
And I'm
Yeah.
going to talk about the boards in a few minutes, but board of directors and the good they do and the damage they do from that perspective. From the infrastructure perspective, there are several considerations to take in place. The first one is that AI, modern AI, tend to run better on HPC, high performance computing,
Hmm.
and mostly GPUs. And it is a power monger. Basically, it eats a lot of power, and that's why you
Yeah.
see renaissance in data center companies because everybody needs a data center, they need the power, and so on and so forth. So AI takes a lot of resources,
Yeah.
and that's why and many people decide to do it in the cloud rather than on premise because of limitations of what they can do. But also the cloud provider, the CSPs, are running into shortage in terms of power and ability to service it.
Yeah.
So I foresee a situation where, let's say, energy-rich areas, for example, like in Texas next to the oil fields, or in Alberta in Canada, when you're the center of the natural gas, I could see data centers being built right there.
Yeah.
So that's another thing to keep in mind that it does take a lot of resources. So that's from that perspective as well. But I think that another part things that we need to remember is when it comes to AI is that there is an infrastructure around it that has to be in place in terms of governance, how to use it
Yeah.
right, what to use it for and what not for, ethics, and some other things. Uh, so a lot of boards of directors and directors in boards that basically pressure the CEOs and leaders. You have to use AI, you have to use AI, you have to use AI. And I always ask the question, great, what for?
Hmm.
In other words, why?
Yeah.
If the answer is because everybody else does it, not a good answer. And if you read the news now about the potential bubble in AI and why there is no return on investment and why there are a lot of false starts, etc., I think that many of them are attributed to the fact that if you don't know what you are looking for, you're probably going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
So you need to
Mm.
have a very, very detailed focus as to what are you trying to achieve, how to achieve it, and is AI really the answer? Because I think that that's many times we tend to use it, a technology because it's the latest one. Sometimes you don't really need it.
Yeah.
Just a small anecdote from the past. At the time when NoSQL and Hadoop, etc., became popular, I was at the bank at the time, and one of the teams presented to us a great idea. They want to build a new data lake, move the data there, and you can run queries, do all this, da 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 da, and fine. And I asked them, so where's the data today that you're talking about? Well, it is in a relational database. Then what you're trying to do is run a query. You need to do is run a SQL query. You don't need to move it to non-SQL to
Yeah.
get it back. And yes. So why do you want to do that? Well, because Hadoop is cool. We want to learn it. So, so I think that,
We like Hadoop.
well, I think that the similar happens with AI because many times we use AI or we use the term AI to define something that we would have done anyway or without AI. And there is a danger if just basically saying everything is AI, because as you create this irrational exuberance, you will be disappointed. You need to be very focused and very, you know, uh, you know, clear as to what are you doing, why are you doing this, and where are
Yeah.
you, where are you taking it? Because otherwise, it's not going to work. And last thing that is probably important from that perspective is there are probably about 10,000 AI companies today in the market.
Yeah.
By the time we finish this conversation, there'll be 40 more. So there is another
Yeah.
question which is who should I use? What should I
Yeah.
bet on? And many people fall into one of few categories, which are that are mistakes, and some do, of course, the right thing. The first one is let's go with the sure bet. Large company have done it before, and so on and so forth. This reminds me of the days that remember the old slogan, "You can't go wrong when you buy IBM," right? So
Right.
this is about
Yeah.
30 years ago,
I
but
remember that.
nevertheless,
Yeah.
yes. And the answer is you could go wrong.
Hmm.
And similarly, you don't have to bet just on one or two big names because they are the big names. On the flip side, there are people that basically follow the nice demos. And I always warn people that the demo is easy. It's the
Yeah.
integration that is not. So my advice would be is that when you look for, someone to work with, there are two, by the way, several things to think about. One of them is, do you want to go with a generic tool that can do everything, or you want to do with a tool that is specific to your industry and go the deep dive? The answer is
Yeah.
either one could work, but again, you need to be prepared for that. But the most important thing is to bet on the technologies that is differentiating and technologies that actually can integrate to the systems of records and
Yeah.
it can work with your systems. In other words, at the end of the day, the AI is not replacing your system of records. It needs to work with them. So you need to have
Yeah.
enough open APIs to work with this. You should be able to work, in our case, with EHR and some other tools in financial services. You need to work with the trading systems and OMSs and so on and so forth. But you need to make sure that whatever tool you use can really integrate at the back end with everything you have. But the front end also is very important because in an ideal set, and I can show some tools that can do that, uh, you don't want the person, your client, to know that he's talking to AI. The
Mm.
conversation needs to be really natural.
Yeah.
And conversational AI cannot do that. It's the next generation of AIs that is getting close to doing it. And there are some tools, again, I'm not going to do commercials to any specific products, but if someone wants to know, call me, email me, I'll tell you what works, what doesn't. But there are tools that really can make the difference from that perspective. Last thing on the same
Yeah.
topic is to understand that you know, with tools like DeFi and some others, you can create a wonderful demo in few hours.
Yeah.
It's just a demo. Don't fall into
Hmm.
this. Make
Yeah.
sure that you go with something that will be your partner for the longer term, because the 10,000 plus AI companies will not last. It's not
Yeah.
sustainable. They will
Yeah.
disappear.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. One thing that you mentioned is the whole system of record. And it reminds me of like Madi. You remember Madi, right?
Of course.
So Madi actually gave this one talk at ONUG once as well, and it was a discussion about we were talking kind of transformation at the time, and he was saying to the cloud, and he was saying, well, really, what we need to be able to do is take a system of record, and then it has so much, depending upon which system of record it is, but it may have so much customer information um, within it. So how do you kind of extract that all of that value of that customer information, and then add to it? Is there a new product that you can be adding to it, or is there just a better customer service that you might be able to extract from that, mold from that? So I think that to me has been a lot of like where the agentic AI stuff is focusing on around system of record. It's like to try to get us away from enterprise software where we might buy SAP or Salesforce or the HubSpot, like a whole plethora of enterprise software with 10,000 or so features where you only are using maybe 50, but it has all of your data in it. So can we rewrite those? And maybe it might be a transition where those companies provide
Mhm.
agents onto those platforms, but over time, those platforms get rewritten and more customized to the operations that the business is running. So I don't know, what's your view on kind of how system of records are being transformed?
Yeah, so again, system of records by their natures don't transform easy. Okay, they
Mm,
are basically AKA your legacy systems.
yeah,
But the beauty of modern AI tools is that you don't need to transform them. You need to be able to read them in an effective way, and then with the compute powers that we have today, you should be able to read huge amount of data relatively quickly, and then you can massage it and manage it throughout the tooling, and so you don't need to do that. So uh, this is definitely a change from that perspective. So I think that again, the key of the systems of records is that they exist. They're not going anywhere, not in the near future, and you need to be able to interact with them, read them, change them when you go to changes, etc. But do it in an effective way, which is probably again you cannot avoid at the end of the day, you cannot avoid how it works. So you need to write the APIs, you need to be able to code and stuff. This is one of the conversation we had because everybody's talking about vibe coding, which is
yeah,
basically, well, we don't need programmers anymore. I can just tell AI and it will code it for me, etc. Uh, that's probably not true, not yet. Maybe in a few
mhm,
years, but not yet. And the reason is because of several reasons. First of all, you still need to tie all of those things together and make them work, and AI is not necessarily good at that. Second, you need to know exactly what you really want to do. So for me, when I code today, I mean, AI is a wonderful co-pilot from that perspective, which means
mm,
there are routines that exist out there. I don't need to rewrite them. AI could provide them to me. But AI is still AI. AI is still based on statistics, as we talked before, and does not come with really new routines per se. It catches some together at the best time, or just copy from others. So if you have a really creative, new, novel idea that you want to develop, at the end of the day, you have to do the work itself. And
yeah,
that's something that is still going to be there. So if you're a programmer out there that is listening to this, you know, uh, AI could help your job. At this point, does not replace your job.
yeah,
So because I read about several companies, we fired all of our programmers now, AI is going to do the job. I would love to know their names because that's where I'm going to go to the market and short their stock.
Bada bing.
Yeah.
All right. So we have actually we still have a good block of time. So I wanted to talk a little bit about future outlook. So I'm gonna wait, we have like till 10 minutes, to do that. So there's adoption, culture, leadership consideration. So you also wanted to talk about kind of the middle part, or the middle office and the back office. Why don't we talk about those, like the middle office and the back office, and make sure that we cover those particular use cases.
Oh, sure. I'll just provide a few examples. So one of the biggest issues that exist for at least in healthcare is what we call RCM, which is revenue cycle management. And this includes a lot of things, including pre-authorization, includes the putting the right coding, as you know, the medical codes, etc., in place, making sure that you match the right treatment to the right code to the right that so you can guarantee the revenue. Uh, eh, this is a Today it's a manual process with a lot of people working very hard on this.
Hmm.
And being humans, we all make mistakes. And so many times you have mistakes, which create a lot of frustration both to the patient and to the accounts payable department.
Hmm.
Neither one of them is happy with those mistakes. So AI could do a huge amount of cleaning in this direction. There are several companies today that specializing specifically in RCM for healthcare and so on and so forth. Again, I can provide examples in financial services as well, but today is mostly about healthcare, so focus on that. And again, we're talking about the general versus the specific. This is where companies that actually really dive into understanding what is RCM all about and provide a set of solutions across the board could really make a hell of a difference to the healthcare provider, maybe hospital, clinics, dentists, whatever. It doesn't matter. It does make a lot of a difference, and it is a source of several billion dollars a year of revenue loss because of that
Hmm.
particular topic itself. So that's
Yeah.
just kind of the boring backend.
And massive
Let's
frustration, like,
Oh,
as
for
for
everyone involved.
everybody. Oh my
Yes.
God. It's like the nightmare,
Yes.
kind of dealing with,
And then
um,
you have the finger pointing because the patients will blame the hospital, the hospital will blame the insurance company, the insurance company will send back to the hospital. It's you put the wrong code. It's a mess.
yeah,
So and again,
that's,
that's where the beauty of AI is that is you look for the mess. That's where you
yeah,
go after. Don't try to improve something that already exists. You waste your time.
that's, yeah.
Focus on that. So that's just an example. Another one is kind of really where AI is more of the conduit and there is not much of brains behind it that still needs to be done, is the topic of both scheduling but also late show and no show. Now,
Oh,
when you have a late show and no show to a procedure, you do not affect just yourself. You have to come back another day, etc. But the entire schedule of the day is in mayhem.
yeah.
So one of the systems that we're talking about is something that basically, once the patient get an appointment for a procedure, contacts the patient and say, hello, Mr. or Mr. or whatever. Um, you have this procedure on that date at, let's say, 11 a.m. Um, and first of all, we would like to wish you success, etc. On the day itself, do you think that you're going to need transportation to or from? Because you may be able to get there, but you're not driving back or something like that. No, I'm okay, fine, it's fine. Okay, did you do your pre-authorization? What are you talking about? Okay,
Yeah.
pre-authorization is basically we need to get authorization from your doctor and from the health insurance, etc., to actually do da. Okay, I understand. Have you done it? No. Would you like me to send you a form to fill, or would you like me to do it for you? Oh, can you do it
Mm.
for me? Okay, I need you to basically say it in your own voice. I would like you to fill the pre-authorization for me. Okay, fine, please do that. Then system goes and does the pre-authorization for the person without any human interaction at all.
Mm.
Okay, then it comes back, okay, fine, you're good, ready to go. By the way, you remember that the night before you're not supposed to drink or eat, right? Oh, of course they don't. Well, you may remember, we'll
Mm.
see. Then a few days before, you say, you remember that on Monday at 11 a.m. you have your procedure, right? You're still okay? Yes. You
Right.
sure you don't need transportation? I'm fine. Stop
Mm.
bothering me. Okay. Uh, please make sure that you don't drink or eat before the procedure. No, of course I remember. Okay,
Yeah.
fine. Then the evening before, it is tomorrow. Don't drink and eat, man, because you will be sent away.
Yeah.
And then in the
Especially if
morning,
it's a
that now the
colonoscopy.
beauty comes in the morning. You get a call. Okay, it is 8:30 in the morning. We know that your procedure is scheduled for 11, but we see that there is a longer line. Come at 1:30.
Yeah.
So rather than go there and wait for all of those hours, you can come later. It's fine.
Yeah.
And then there is, of course, the post-operation, both the paperwork. All of this can be done with AI from that perspective. And that's one of the things that I wanted to touch about, which is what I try to focus on are basically real life examples.
Yeah.
Because when I talk to some of my peers, the other CTOs, etc., and some other folks in the industry, and I ask them about AI, almost everybody tells me, well, with AI, we can do this and we can do that. And I said, guys, don't tell me what you can do. Tell me what you're actually
Mm.
doing.
Yeah.
Separate the art of the possible from the art of the practical.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to focus today is to say, and what I'm trying to say is the basically the tagline of this entire conversation is focus on what you can actually deliver and provide value. So one of the things that we did, we created the kind of horizon 1, 2, 3 as what we want to achieve, and then we prioritized it by things that are easier to do with the biggest impact. And that's what you need to focus on because then you're going to have your earlier success and success, will follow. Then you gain a certain trust when you do that. So
Yeah.
those are just a few examples. Again, I can probably
These are
talk for
great
several hours about
examples.
other examples, but I think that we have enough.
Yeah, well, I think, really what you're the picture that you're painting, Svi, is that kind of all the big touch points that you're interacting with a healthcare can be made easier. Like when you're coming into the front desk and you're interacting to maybe schedule a meeting or to like get information about a particular doctor. So that can be, that could be a better experience. When you're actually with a doctor, having that recorded and the notes being taken and the summary. And then even afterwards, you can, oh, I forgot, that saying I've been getting, these kinds of, conditions, so inputting those. And then the whole payment systems and the complexity that's associated with that sometimes and the amount of phone calls that need to be done. So eliminating that frustration and then the scheduling or rescheduling. I think everyone can relate to all of those, everyone can. I think these were just like really just so great. And I think so what you've really done is really kind of focused on the workflows that are associated with interacting with the institution of healthcare and how you can make it better for patients and also for the doctors and give the doctors greater insights into as you were mentioning, hey, you've seen like, 100 patients over the last 6 months, and here is a segmentation, of their ailments, and this is what you did, and this is what's working better. So that improves the healthcare, of the patient, as well, and the doctor's reputation and maybe their insurance, cost. But I think all of that, but then you have the big enchilada. You got the research piece,
Mhm.
and the research piece is really where the hope, is the total improvement of the human condition, to try to mitigate a scourge, that's been on humanity for as long as there have been humans walking the planet. And so, these are all like phenomenally great, use cases and I think lessons learned on, how do you approach AI? Where do you use it? And I think I walk away with the best thing to do is really focusing on where are the biggest messes and frustration points for the provider of the service and the consumer, of the service and try to make that frustration go away and that complexity go away. That's
No, I totally agree. And I think that, again, at the end of the day, just to summarize several points, first of all, if anybody that listens wants to have a chat and learn more, then feel free to contact me. And again, the Onag organization has my contacts and we'll be happy to share. So by all means, do that. The second thing is just to summarize, I think that Nick is correct. We need to remember that at the end of the day, that AI is a tool. It's not the messiah. It's not the solution for everything in the world, but it is a great tool if used, really in a responsible and for good. And of course, it is being used not so for good. We all have seen the improvement of the spams that we are getting from emails, etc., because they use ChatGPT now or something like that to write better than they did before.
yeah,
So
that's
there are
for
a lot
sure.
of those dangers as well. But all in all, I believe that done right, AI could actually help humanity. And I'm also not extremely worried about the mass unemployment that is being professed for as a result of AI. I think that a lot of jobs will change. Definitely they will. And they did in the past as well.
Hmm.
When I'm going to use just maybe last example, then we'll stop with that. Many years ago in Italy, a person invented the sewing machine.
Hmm.
Now, people very unhappy about it because a lot of people are going to lose their jobs. So they barged into his office, they burned all the papers, they actually killed the person as well. So it was done. Well, guess what? 3 months later in Germany, a guy named Singer inventing a sewing machine,
Hmm.
which tells you when time comes, it comes. You cannot stop progress.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
idea is use it for good. Same with the laser, same with everything else. If you use it for good, it could really help a lot. Think about it in agriculture, the regulation of watering large amount of areas with the right amount of drops when you have limited amount of water.
Hmm.
A human cannot design it.
Yeah.
So there are many examples.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. These are super, Svi. I think let's end on um, taking kind of all the experiences that you've had so far in applying AI for Memorial, Kettering Sloan, and projecting out. What do you think are some of the big AI trends that you think will benefit what you've been doing already, and that you're looking forward to?
sure. Well, there are several. I mean, I think that the next several months, because it's very hard to predict years now because the changes are so fast. What I think we're gonna see more of a mesh agentic,
Hmm.
basically different agents working together for better, and we're gonna see more real case deployments that go beyond the obvious. Um, Everybody wants to do customer support, and everybody is using the same example, reset password. Okay, you're right, absolutely. But okay, that's it? That's the
I
best you
know.
can do?
Yeah.
So I think that we will see definitely a growth in this from that environment. I think we're going to see also more specialization of the foundation models, and that's going to basically provide more choice for
Mm.
coders, programmers, and technologies, etc., as to what to use. And you're going to see also probably more regulations coming our way.
Hmm.
The EU already established new regulations that they're having there in terms of usage of AI when you basically treat a person and so on and so forth. It's probably going to come to the US later on, probably slower, but it will come here as well. Um, and so there will be some of that comes as well. And again, I could go into the technology advantage expectations of both AI and the machinery behind it, but I think that for now that's probably it. I would say just the last thing that I would say is that HPC really changed the world of AI dramatically because of the ability of
Yeah.
the GPUs to process so quickly and so much a lot. I think that the next one is quantum computing.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mhm.
once we have enough, once we can, okay, several issues there. The qubits are not stable.
Stable. Yeah.
So once we achieve this one and we can achieve enough qubits, I think that this could basically improve the performance by at least one, if not two orders of magnitude.
Mm.
And it takes less natural resources.
Power. Yeah.
So I think those are some of the things to look for. But again, this is what we know today. I can tell you that 3 months before ChatGPT num 3 came to the market,
Mhm.
unless you were in the business, and we were there with OpenAI many years before, nobody expected that.
Yeah,
And so
for
who knows
sure.
what's
Yeah.
going to come next? But so we live in an exciting time. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Not interesting time by the definition that it is. Well, we also live generally in interesting times by the definitions that it is a curse. But I'm talking
Yeah.
about exciting times from technology perspective.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree with you. And even on the quantum piece of it, we've been starting to like integrate some quantum discussion within the networking summit as well, because like
Mhm.
you have IBM, you got Google, you got Microsoft, all making major announcements around quantum last year. So it's who knows when they're going to have their ChatGPT moment. But you would think it's going to be within the next couple of years, is kind of like what the cognoscente, were thinking there. And
Yes,
yeah, and you're right. That would be another few orders of magnitude of advancements and improvement, and also a mitigation of the power requirements, which are massive, absolutely massive, for AI data centers.
yes, I totally agree.
Svi, this was like really, really super. We're out of time. I wish we can, spend some time kind of just fielding some of the questions, but maybe we'll kind of do that offline for
As I
for
was saying,
everyone.
if anybody has any questions, etc., please tunnel them. I promise to look at all. I promise to answer to the ones that I can. The ones that I don't know the answer, I will still answer. I don't know. I'm not going to spin you around. If I don't know, it's just don't know.
All right, awesome. Tsvi Gal, thank you so very much for the time and the insight. I
My
learned a
pleasure.
ton, and it's just such a realistic conversation about AI, as well. So, Svi, thank you. Thank you, everyone who for plugging in and to listening. I hope you really enjoyed it as much as I think Svi and I enjoyed having the conversation. So, thank you, everyone.
Bye bye.